What's your idea of the perfect honeymoon? Come and daydream with me for just a sec. I'd love for you to free your mind and picture your ideal luxury honeymoon destination. Are you at a beachside location or exploring somewhere exotic and remote? Are you on a premium river or canal cruise through Europe? Or are you reclining in opulence at one of the world's most exclusive hotels? And what if it only cost you just a fraction of the price it should, or even better, nothing at all? Crazy, right? Elliot from Hack My Honeymoon says crazy wonderful, but with an emphasis on the wonderful part. Today, Elliot is going to share with you some of the standout success stories from couples who have used his services, and you're not going to believe the deals they got, especially like the ones that stick in my head are the first class air travel. So think lie flat beds. Yes, on a plane. What a dream. Elliot's also going to teach you the qualities that couples need to have to be the best candidates to take maximum advantage of the experiences you can book via a sustainable loyalty and reward points accumulation strategy. And then the risks and potential downsides that you need to be aware of. Plus, if the idea of points hacking to pay for your honeymoon is something that interests you, Elliot includes some crucial and important advice at the end of the episode to make sure that you get the very best deals and protect the value of the points that you're accumulating as you go along. Now and in the future, take a trip somewhere incredible with me. Let's get stuck into it. Unbridely is a community of pro-wedding vendors who believe in freedom and integrity in weddings, giving you options, solutions, tips and tricks to create the experience and memories that you and your fiancé really want and deserve. Because we believe that weddings are a team sport. With how-tos, stories and interviews with recently married couples, we find out what went right and what they'd change if they could go back and do it all over again. I'm Camille and welcome to the Unbridely podcast. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to remind you that the information shared in this interview is for educational and informational purposes only. While we strive to bring you valuable content, we encourage you to do your own research and consult with professionals before making any decisions based on the strategies discussed. The views and opinions expressed by our guests today are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the Unbridely Modern Wedding Planning podcast. We are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information shared in this episode. So please proceed with caution and always prioritise your own financial and personal well-being. Hi, Elliot. Thanks so much for coming on today. I've got to say, I'm pretty fascinated with what you do and how all this works. So to start us off, could you please share your background and what has led you to becoming an expert in accruing loyalty points for flights and accommodation?
Yeah, I'm Elliot Rosenberg, founder of Hack My Honeymoon, and my background is that I've been doing this as a hobby for the past 10 years plus and helping others to take really incredible trips for pennies on the dollar using the magic of credit card points and airline miles and loyalty programs. And originally, my career started in the travel space. I was running like an online marketplace, like an Airbnb, but for favela communities in Brazil, which are informal communities. I was in Rio de Janeiro, and this was in the lead up to the FIFA World Cup, where Brazil was overwhelmed with a massive influx of tourists, and the rates for staying were just so incredibly high. And our mission was to expose travelers to a new, different side of the culture that was otherwise stigmatized, and at the same time to generate sustainable income for families who were opening up their homes to receiving guests.
Wow.
It was a wonderful experience in many ways, but I became very jealous of my customers because a lot of them were traveling around Brazil, Latin America, the world, And I never had that experience. I was in one place. It was a stunning place to be in, but I didn't have that experience of waking up every day to something entirely new. Simultaneously, around that time, I got introduced to this crazy concept that you didn't need to have money or didn't need to have a lot of money to have really incredible and even luxury travel experiences. And for whatever reason, that hooked me, and I just dove into the deep end and read every blog, every video, talked to every person, and learned that if you are financially responsible, you can sign up for credit cards and get big welcome bonuses on those credit cards in a way that actually improves your credit score, and use the points and miles that you earn to take more or less any kind of flight or have any kind of stay that you want without paying much money at all, or any money. It could be entirely free. So I decided that I wanted to use that to have kind of like the experience that my customers were having in some ways, and wake up and everything be new every day. So I took a backpack and I traveled to 17 countries in Asia over 15 months. And that was largely funded by the probably million points in different loyalty programs that I earned from just opening credit cards in a strategic way, and had some really incredible experiences and made some wonderful lifelong memories.
You realize this all sounds ridiculous.
Scammy even.
And wonderful.
Yeah.
and crazy.
Sure.
And wow, I'm hooked. Okay, so can you walk me through? I mean, you mentioned the magic number, 1 million loyalty points. Can you walk me through an example of how, like a couple maybe, because Hack My Honeymoon is the business, how can a couple accrue that many points to offset their honeymoon costs?
Yeah, there are many ways, but at a high level, it boils down to looking at your wedding expenses, assuming that you're an engaged couple. And I imagine there are a lot of people listening who are engaged couples. And it's not about spending any more money than you already would. You've got your venue costs, your DJ, your caterer, your florist, etc. And assuming that those vendors will accept credit cards, then making sure that you are intentional about planning when those payments are going to be, and putting those payments on new credit cards that you open that have welcome bonus offers that are going to help you have the honeymoon experience that you want to have. So that's at a high level the best strategy. Even if you're not interested in credit cards, and even if you're in a country that doesn't have the kind of lucrative credit card offers that exist in places like the US, Australia, Germany, UK, you can still get points if your wedding venue and or the wedding room block that you have for your guests, even if that's not in the same venue, if either of those locations is part of a major chain.
Right.
So like a Hilton, a Marriott, IHG, Wyndham, these are some of the bigger global chains, and each of them might have 15, 20 different brands. So you might not even know that the hotel that you're working with is a part of a loyalty program, but you can just quickly Google your hotel name plus which hotel group and find out what loyalty program it's in. So from that, if you've got the venue as part of a hotel group, then most of those programs have like explicit sign up pages for you to get a particular number of points per dollar that you spend on the venue. So that's part one. No credit card needed. Even if you were paying with a debit card, you can still earn points. And then part two is if you have a room block, and in Australia, I'm not sure if you call it a room block. In the US, it's where you've negotiated a better rate with a hotel for your event guests. It doesn't need to be a wedding. It could be a conference as well. And there's usually like a discount code for a particular set of dates and maybe a 20-30% discount that your guests will get. So for that room block, if you negotiate with the hotel and say, instead of giving the points from my guest stays to each of my guests, can you credit those points to my loyalty account? Then if you've got a lot of people staying, spending a lot of money at this hotel, that can be easily 100,000 points that can go pretty far towards your honeymoon stay at some other hotel in that hotel group around the world. And that's something that doesn't cost the hotel anything extra. And frankly, most of your guests are not going to be able to do anything with those points anyways. So it's not like you're really stealing from them. So these are high level kind of strategies for an engaged couple to earn a lot of points from the wedding planning experience and use those for their honeymoon.
I get it. I get it. And I really like how you don't have to be signing up for credit cards if that's not where your risk profile is.
Yeah.
As far as how much, I don't know, debt you want to take on, or, if you're just not comfortable with that, the loyalty points, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. There are other ways too that don't need credit cards, like their shopping portals whenever you're doing your regular shopping on Amazon or your grocery store delivery. You can just make sure that you have like a browser extension enabled and you earn points for every dollar that you spend. So you don't need credit cards, but if you are getting credit cards, you can do it in a way that is financially responsible. You're not actually paying interest. You're not paying late fees. And
yeah,
if you're doing that and you're paying on time every month, then you're actually going to be growing your credit score that could set you up for, say, getting a better interest rate on a mortgage when it's time for you to buy a house with your partner.
Yes, yes. And that's exactly where my brain's going, Elliot.
Uh-huh.
So what kind of couple are the best candidates to do this sort of thing? Because I'm guessing not everyone would be.
Yeah.
You've said financially responsible a few times.
Right. Yes.
Enough to, be able to restrict themselves, I guess, or be disciplined.
Be disciplined. Yeah.
In using a credit card.
Yeah. You have to know yourself, first of all, and say, like, will getting a shiny piece of plastic put you in a mountain of debt where you're paying interest and fees? So that's first and foremost. If that's you, then throw your device out of the window now and stop listening.
Yes.
Sorry, Camille. But I don't want to put people in debt. Yeah.
But also, Elliot, the idea of those loyalty points with the hotel chains and,
yeah.
What I'm guessing is the equivalent of flybys in the States and stuff like that, depends on, it's all about the strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Tell me about the couples who are best to do this.
So financially responsible, first and foremost, but then I think a lot of people think they need to be big spenders for this to work out. And that's not really the case. You can have a low cost, low key wedding and lifestyle. And if you are smart about this and you start, especially earlier on, then you'll have a lot longer period and more of your expenses on which to earn points. In the US, if I speak in US dollars, if you're a couple that, say, as a couple spending $1,000 or $2,000 a month, that can go on credit cards.
Okay.
Excluding rent. And, that's probably most middle class couples who are getting engaged. That would probably apply to them in most parts of the US with how expensive things are these days, just for gas, food, utilities, all of that. So, that's the kind of level financially. If you're spending that much, then you could still do really well. I'm working with a client right now who's saying that she has a $5,000 overall wedding budget, which to me is unheard of in the US. We're still going to be able to do something really great for her just with that. So you don't need to be a high spender. If you're going to be going the credit card route, be financially responsible, but you need to already have, say, average or above average credit. You do not need to have perfect credit to get approved for travel rewards cards, but about average in the US is like a 675 score. And other than that, it's more about mindset. It's about being flexible and open-minded and not saying that I need to go to Bali on this flight on this exact date,
Right.
stay in that hotel and go to that hotel, because it makes it much more difficult, since using points to book flights and hotels is not the same as using cash.
Mm.
There's, we could call them like blackout dates. They're not exactly blackout dates, but you can't just say at any point, I want to take this flight, stay in this hotel. There's less availability for using points. So being flexible, starting early really helps to make you satisfied in the end. Otherwise, your expectation's not going to match reality.
Okay. And you also said before, I just want to say it again, but with the credit card accruing points, Elliot, like your preferred candidate gets the credit, uses the credit, pays the credit within the month, right?
Yes, fully. Not rolling over any balance. So there's no interest and there's no late fee.
Yeah.
And that means that you're not paying anything. Additionally, some cards do have like annual membership fees
Right.
that usually come with lots of additional benefits. And sometimes that is the small out of pocket price to pay. There are cards that are great that don't have any fees, but a lot of the better ones do have, in the US, maybe like $100 annual fee. So you will need to pay that generally upfront. You probably will not need to pay that again, because you will have earned the bonus on the card, and the continuing rewards from that card generally don't make it worth it to hold on to and keep paying that fee. But that's something that you can look at when it's time to renew.
Yeah. And that's what you're for, Elliot, right? You're the guy with the strategy.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned your credit scores.
Yeah.
So, here in Australia, if we're opening and shutting credit cards, it impacts our credit score. Like how do you get around that?
It does, but most people misunderstand how credit scores work. And at least in the US, and I'd assume in most countries of people who are listening now, the biggest factors are paying your credit on time every month and not late. That's factor number one. That's about 35% of your score. Factor number two is the percentage of your overall credit that you are using every month when it gets reported to the credit bureaus. Those two things combined make up about 2/3 of your credit score. A very minor factor is the number of hard credit inquiries where you have given consent to a bank, a lender, to check your credit. That's called a credit inquiry, a hard credit inquiry. And though every time you get one of those, you'll usually see your score dip 5 to 15 points. But that's not something to really be scared about, because it's very minor. And if you've then gotten approved for a card and you're paying that card off in full on time every month, after, say, the 6-month mark, generally you will see that impact go to zero. And past 6 months, you'll start to see your score rise, which is going to be helpful for any other kind of loan that, say, you want to get in the future, like a mortgage. So a small negative impact initially that's really trivial, not to worry about, and then moderate to significant positive impact in the mid to long term. And then closing cards is something that could have a moderate negative impact, but usually there's no need to close a card, because there will be the option to either, one, call the bank and ask them to waive the annual membership fee for being a good customer.
Okay.
And even if that doesn't work, you just don't want to keep calling every year, you can downgrade your card from one that does have a fee to one that does not have a fee. And you maintain that credit history on your credit report, and maybe put a charge on that card every 6 months to keep it active. And that's going to, again, continue to build your credit score with time.
Right. Which is what you were talking about earlier with getting your mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I really wanted to cover like the realities first, Elliot, because I know that by the time you start telling me about these holidays, my mind's going to go elsewhere.
Sure, sure. Very responsible of you.
Right?
Yeah.
So can you share like some of the success stories? Like what have you planned for couples and how's it worked out? You still haven't written your vows yet, have you? Let me help. In around 20 minutes or so, you can easily write personalized wedding vows unlike anything you've heard before that will make your fiance feel like the most loved, understood, and appreciated person on the planet. The How to Write Wedding Vows That Don't Suck instant download 17-page PDF ebook walks you through a step-by-step format for your vows, how to find the right words and phrases to describe your feelings and your fiancé, how to write that crucial first draft, and create your final wedding vows masterpiece. So if you don't know how or even where to start, if you've been Googling your little heart out, or if you've been calling them wedding vows, AEIOU, this ebook is for you. Included in there are also some bonus secrets for getting the most out of your wedding ceremony. So make sure you download your copy right now and get Write Your Wedding Vows crossed off your to-do list today. The link is in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. So I could talk about myself as my first client, but my wife and I did a honeymoon in the Maldives in a private island resort. We stayed in a overwater villa bungalow where sort of like a dock that extends out or a walkway that extends out into the ocean, and your room is surrounded by the ocean. There's a ladder directly from your room into the ocean, so you can go snorkeling. That was an incredible experience, and that was funded using points. And with our clients, we've had them take similarly incredible, lovely experiences, trips. So one would be a couple who flew from the US to a safari plus beach holiday in Kenya and Tanzania.
Right.
And they flew in Qatar Airways Q Suite, the best business class in the world, which would be maybe $8,000 round trip. And they paid probably $200 each for that flight to have a lie flat bed, and your seats can combine together. They do turn down service. A barrier comes down between you, so you can have that really romantic enclosed privacy kind of suite, and dine on demand.
Wow.
Big entertainment screens, champagne, really, really lovely experience.
All the trimmings.
They came and they did a safari in Kenya, and then they did a beach holiday in Zanzibar, an island off the coast of Tanzania, where they stayed at the Park Hyatt, which is like a $500 to $1,000 a night hotel, and that was totally free. That's an example. Another example would be a couple that did an all-inclusive resort in Tulum, Mexico, which is a really beautiful tropical place. I can keep going and going, but
Please, it's helping how I'm feeling about my day. But with these kind of experiences, Elliot, like, you mentioned at the start the magic million points mark. What sort of points are you talking about for those sort of experiences?
How many do you need?
Yeah.
So first of all, not every point is worth the same amount. Just like, an Australian dollar is not equal to a US dollar. These are currencies, right? And different currencies are stronger than others. So it really depends what you want to do, but usually a few 100,000 points can get you a lot. Obviously, the closer you are to home, the fewer points you have to use for flights. But if you want to go halfway around the world in business class, usually you would look at like 150 to 200,000 points per person in a lie flat business class seat. Say if you wanted to go US to Europe or Asia or Africa, if you wanted to stay closer, then it's far less.
Right.
And then to stay in luxury hotels, like, $500,000, $1,500 a night resorts.
Yes, please.
That can vary from like 20,000 points a night in, say, with Hyatt points to maybe 150,000 points a night with Hilton. So they're not the same.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the calculations you're doing in your head right now.
That's all natural to me now.
Right. Yeah, it's how you think, isn't it? And so, I mean, it sounds great, Elliot. How do you make your money though with Hack My Honeymoon?
Yeah, we have two parts where we charge a fee. The first is an upfront fee where we are going to understand your travel preferences, look into like what are the past trips that you did, what did you like, did you not like, what's your financial situation in terms of credit, and also your wedding budget, and how many different vendors are left to pay and how much do you have to pay them at which times, in addition to your regular living expenses that we can put on cards. And based on that, we craft a custom points earning strategy that can include some of the points that we mentioned a few minutes ago about earning points in different ways. So that's part one. There's a fixed fee for that. And then after you've earned the points, we come in again optionally, if you would like, and we'll do all the research to find out for the itinerary that you want, where is the availability to get the best value on the points that you've earned. And if you would like, we can just book it for you directly from your airline and hotel loyalty accounts, or we can give you step-by-step instructions on how to book it yourself. And we'll more or less craft the entire itinerary for you to meet the travel goals that you want. And ultimately, even after you've taken the trip, we're there to help you avoid or reduce the annual membership fees on any of the cards that you've signed up for.
Oh, that's really good, Elliot.
So you're not continuously paying and it's not going to impact your credit negatively.
Yeah. Because that would be my biggest fear, I guess, is okay, this is all great now. And then what happens after? And given the ever changing dynamic of the loyalty people and, the different points and the credit cards and stuff,
Yeah.
how do you make sure that the strategies you recommend will remain effective? Like, is that something you guys guarantee? Like, we'll give you this strategy and good luck.
At the end of the day, we can't guarantee third party programs and how they price the amount of points you need for a flight or a hotel or what they do and don't let you do. But we basically hedge against that in the sense that we mostly want people to accrue what are called credit card points or transferable points currencies, which is like diversifying your financial assets. So in the US, we have banks like JP Morgan Chase, Amex, Capital One that have their own loyalty points, and they have partnerships with lots of different airlines and hotels. So if you've got your Chase points and then suddenly Virgin devalues their program and it no longer makes sense to transfer your Chase points to Virgin, then you've got still 15, 20 other airlines and hotels who in the few months between when you earn the points and it's time to use your points probably would not have drastically changed their programs.
Right. So again, we need the knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it on your own, but you would probably have to do a lot of research and read a lot of blogs, watch a lot of videos, have some trial and error, maybe on like a small trip before the honeymoon. And even then, it's still possible to make mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. I bet the rabbit holes are deep.
Yes, yes.
Can I ask you, Elliot, like when you started doing this, did you have some missteps?
Oh, sure. Yeah. There are lots of mistakes that anyone can make along the way. One thing is that most cards, in order to earn the welcome bonus, they will say you need to spend a certain number of dollars in the first 3, 4, 6 months on the card.
Right.
And I've messed up the math a few times and, come like a few dollars short of that amount and I didn't get the big bonus. So that's a mistake. Another mistake is something called phantom award availability, especially for flights, where you're looking at the website and it shows that you can use your points for this flight on this date. And then you go to book it and it's no longer available it actually never was available. It was a phantom. So that's problematic. If you are accruing these bank credit card points and you've transferred your points from the bank to the airline, now your points are stranded in an airline program that you don't have to use, when instead you could have been using those points for some other airline. So I've screwed up over the many years and learned mistakes. I learned from my mistakes that, help clients with now to not repeat.
What about yourself, Elliot? I mean, over these years, you must have come to trust certain airlines, certain partners, and not others. Do you have relationships with the airlines, hotels, credit card companies? And how does that change what you recommend to engaged couples?
So really the main area where we have a relationship that's not a very significant one, but is still something to disclose, is that sometimes when we refer credit cards to our clients, we stand to earn a referral bonus from doing that. We're not technically yet working as an affiliate for any of these banks or loyalty programs, but even you could say sign up for a card or a Qantas account and potentially earn some points for referring a friend or a family member. So whenever we do that, we are fully transparent about this is a referral link. If you choose to click this, you don't have to, you could find another link. Then we stand to earn a small bonus from that.
Right. And yeah, that's the biggest thing of all, isn't it, Elliot? Just that transparency through how you earn money.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that's what, makes some people nervous about actually going, okay, yeah, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the legitimacy of strategies like this involving points, how do you make sure that you're ethical and compliant? So transparency, obviously.
There are terms and conditions of airline programs, hotel programs, credit card rewards that we strictly have to adhere by. But nowhere in any of these programs, terms and conditions, and nowhere in any country's laws does it say that you have to be a profitable customer to a service provider, an airline, a hotel, a bank. So at worst, you may be a less than profitable customer for a bank or a hotel or an airline, but you may not realize actually, even if you think you're unprofitable, they may be profiting from you in the long run. Like banks, generally, even if you are paying your card in full and every month, not paying interest, not paying late fees, banks are still making money every time you use their cards. There's a fee that they charge to merchants that you're making purchases at. And if you're spending a lot on their cards, which you would have to anyways to get the points, they're going to get some solid revenue from that. And even if they're not making money from you as a credit card customer, down the line, they might upsell you a mortgage or a car loan. So I really wouldn't worry about the being an unprofitable customer part. But by all means, follow the terms and conditions of all of these programs otherwise.
I do understand what you mean, because just by being a, Chase customer, you're increasing their market share, right?
Yeah, their investors love that. Their share price is going up because they've acquired you.
Yeah, their leverage increases just by you being present. So, yeah, I do get what you mean.
Exactly.
No one's going to come knock on our door, Elliot, are they? And say,
no, they're not. They're going to be much more concerned with fraud than anything else. So as long as you don't have a bunch of transactions on your card that look fraudulent, then they're more than happy to keep you as a customer.
What about the regulatory requirements related to financial advice and travel planning? Like, how do you guys work with that?
Yeah. So for us, really the only thing that applies is the part about disclosing any kind of affiliate or referral relationship that we have. In our case, it's with banks, where we stand to earn by recommending you a product. You click the link that we give you, get approved for that card, and we get a payout. But otherwise, we are not financial advisors. We're not telling you how to invest money. We're not creating savings plans, retirement plans, anything like that. It's just a matter of shifting spending that you otherwise would have onto new credit cards that you're opening.
So again, it comes down to, I guess, the good fit of a certain couple who does things a certain way in their financial life already and just wants to take advantage of that with the accruing of points.
Yeah, but I think that's really a lot of couples. It doesn't require you being rich, having a big blowout wedding. It doesn't require you having perfect credit to start with. Doesn't require you reading up on all this yourselves. If you want to work with us, you could do it on your own, and you could maybe do something simple that's not going to save you $10,000, but might save you $1,000, and you don't have to like go crazy trying to optimize it. So I think a good fit for a lot of people, whether they're working with us or doing it on their own or working with someone else.
Yeah, yeah. To finish off, Elliot, like for this couple who have gotten excited like me and gone, oh, maybe we can go here, maybe we can actually do it. What advice would you give to them? When they're just starting to explore the world of loyalty points, what are the first steps they should take? And maybe what should they be cautious of?
Yeah. Number one is to start out with like a goal in mind, but keep that goal flexible. So let me give you an example. Instead of saying that I want to go to Bora Bora and stay at the St. Regis in an overwater villa from 6th April through 11th April and flying first class on Qantas to get there, saying I would like to have a luxury beach resort experience somewhere, less than a 12-hour flight from where I live. So starting with that goal in mind and then building the strategy around that is really critical, not being really rigid. The other thing is just starting early. Ideally, the closer after you've gotten engaged that you start thinking about this stuff, the better, because that means that you'll have more of your wedding spending that you can shift onto new credit cards and more of your just regular living expenses that you can shift onto credit cards to earn points before the honeymoon. So those are like high level tips for anyone doing this, regardless of how they're doing it. And then a caution I would say is that the credit card affiliate marketing space worldwide, but especially in the US, is a massive industry. And there are lots of businesses, particularly blogs, content creators, who earn money from credit card affiliate links. No one's breaking the law. They're being transparent, saying that this is my affiliate link. They have to do that. But what they're not being transparent about, what the law does not require them to disclose, is that oftentimes they are recommending cards for which their offers, the offers that they have set up with the banks, are worse than what any individual could get through some other channel.
Oh, wow.
There are big names in the US. I'm not going to call them out, but
Call them out, Elliot. Call them out.
really well-known blogs and content creators.
Ah.
So anytime you see someone who's got affiliate links, maybe do a little extra Googling to see like what's the best offer on this card. Because like the number of points that you earn, the amount of money that you have to spend, the other benefits and credits that you get on the card could be drastically different. Say, if you click one of these big blogs links versus like you go to a friend and say, can you give me your referral link to this Amex Platinum card?
Really good to know, Elliot. And that's why you and your team are doing what you do.
Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy world out there. So you need sometimes to have an expert on your side protecting you.
Yeah, absolutely. And saving you a ton of time, I bet, as well.
Time, stress, hassle, just like a wedding planner, right? Like I'm sure a lot of your listeners are working with wedding planners. You could plan a wedding on your own. A lot of people choose to do so, but having a planner is going to be probably a huge time savings, or having a celebrant like you is probably going to lead to a much better experience than asking your cousin or your college buddy to lead your ceremony.
You'd hope so, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You bloody hope so. Okay. So, Elliot, if my listener is a bit excited too about Bora Bora, then how can they find you?
Yeah. The best way is through our website, hackmyhoneymoon.com. And we're on Instagram.
And I'll definitely, I'll put your links there, Elliot, as well in the show notes. So, they can just go down and click on there. And what I'm really liking most of all, Elliot, is you sound honest. You sound transparent. It just sounds like you walk the talk, which is, wonderful when you're talking about something so magical as building a memory for this couple and the rest of their married life.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it myself and I've made lots of mistakes and I've helped lots of friends and family members in the earlier years. So it's something I live and breathe. And it has brought me and my wife a lot of joy and made lifelong lovely memories that we otherwise would never have been able to afford. So I love spreading this gospel with others and enabling those experiences. That's what really motivates me to do what I do.
The gospel of holidays.
Yes.
I love it. Thanks so much, Elliot.
Awesome. Thanks, Camille. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Bye.
That about wraps it up for this episode of the Unbridled podcast. For the links and resources we mentioned, please head to the show notes. And if you love the show, please review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're on now so you don't miss out on a single episode. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, weddings are a team sport. Catch you soon.